Hello, everyone. Welcome to January 12th, 2021 live stream devotional. We'll be getting into Jesus is Calling today and continuing with the book of Philippians with chapter 2. Yesterday, as we were reading through Philippians, there was the thing that really stuck with me was living your life. And how that is a form of service to God sometimes. So live your life. But before we get back into Philippians, we're going to jump into Jesus is Calling for today, January 12th. So without further ado, let's get to this devotional. Let me prepare for you the day that stretches out before you. I know exactly what this day will contain, whereas you have only a vague ideas about it. You would like to see a map showing all the twists and turns of the journey. You'd feel more prepared if you could somehow visualize what is on the road ahead. However, there is a better way to be prepared for whatever you will encounter today. Spend quality time with me. I will not show you what is on the road ahead, but I will thoroughly equip you for the journey. My living presence is your companion each step of the way. Stay in control and stay in continual communication with me, whispering my name wherever you need to redirect your thoughts. Thus, you can walk through this day with your focus on me. My abiding presence is the best roadmap available. And that was inspired by two different sections. The Lord replied, my presence will go with you, and I will give you rest. Exodus 33:14. And then remain in me, and I will remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. I am the vine. You are the branches. If a man remains in me and I in him, he will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. If anyone does not remain in me, he is like a branch that is thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up, thrown into the fire, and burned. If you remain in me, and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish, and it will be given to you. John 15:4-7. Hi, Langley. Welcome. But I like that. Each moment to moment, it's a mystery. I can't really be planned out. Like the other day when I was planning on going and reading on the bench at Menorah Park, and Menorah Park was packed with cross-country skiers. I, for some reason, did not realize that cross-country skiing was an essential service, so I thought everyone was going to be gone. So I had to find somewhere else to read, and it was packed. And I was like, all right, I need to find somewhere. And then I ended up finding this nice, quiet spot next to a frozen lake, and as I'm doing the live stream, my tripod fell over like 3 times. So you never really know what to expect, but you just roll with it. And little things like that, you just feel like, okay, God's kind of showing like, yeah, some things might not go as planned. There might be this, that, or the other. And you can let those momentary mishaps completely derail you. Or you can take about it, you can laugh at it and be like, all right, like, let's do this. And far too often, I find when we're set just on our own path, we let those momentary setbacks completely derail us. But when we're walking with God, those momentary setbacks often have some moment of opportunity, of prayer, of teaching, of humbleness. There's something usually in those momentary setbacks. And And most of the time, not all the time, I have bad days when a momentary setback just throws me right off. But I think more often than not, I take something from it that is usually fairly positive. Most of the time. I'm not perfect. But I find it so much easier to do that when I'm walking with God. So now we're going to open up to Philippians. Philippians is spelled Philippians. Philippians. And if you're looking it up on Bible Gateway, awesome. The Bible app, great. If you have a physical Bible, awesome. Even better. I always liked the physical Bible. It's something about just holding it. I'm a very tactile person. And if you need a Bible, I'd love to hook you up with one. So send me a private message, and I'd love to hook you up with one. Right now, we'll be reading through, Philippians 2. And if you missed Philippians 1, I encourage you to go back and watch it. I've uploaded it to YouTube as well. There was some stuff in there that really, it really hit me hard. The reason why we're reading through Philippians is I was reading an article about someone that lost hope. They lost the laughter in their life. And the book of Philippians is what helped them re-find it. And that's why I chose to to read through Philippians with you. So, without further ado, I'm going to take a sip and then get started with Philippians chapter 2, verse 1. All right. Have an attitude of Christ. Is there any encouragement from belonging to Christ? Any comfort from his love? Any fellowship together in spirit? Are your hearts tender and compassionate? Then make me truly happy by agreeing wholeheartedly with each other, loving one another, and working together with one mind and purpose. Don't be selfish. Don't try to impress others. Be humble, thinking of others as better than yourselves. Don't look out only for your own interests, but take an interest in others too. You must have the same attitude that Christ had. Though he was God, he did not think of equality with God as something to cling to. Instead, he gave up his divine privileges. He took the humble position of a slave and was born as a human being when he appeared in human form. He humbled himself in obedience to God and died a criminal's death on the cross. Therefore, God elevated him to the place of highest honor and gave him a name above all names. And at that name of Jesus, every knee should bow in heaven and on earth and under the earth. And every tongue declare that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. Shine brightly for Christ. Dear friends, you always follow my instructions when I was with you. And now that I am away, it is even more important. Work hard and show the results of your salvation, obeying God with deep reverence and fear. For God is working in you, giving you the desire and power to do what pleases him. Do everything without complaining and arguing, so that no one can criticize you. Live clean, innocent lives as children of God, shining like the bright lights in a world full of crooked and perverse people. Hold firmly to the word of life. Then, on the day of Christ's return, I will be proud that I did not run the race in vain, and that my work was not useless. But I will rejoice even if I lose my life, pouring it out like a liquid offering to God, just as your faithful service is an offering to God. I want all of you to share that joy. Yes, you should rejoice, and I will share your joy. Paul commands Timothy. If the Lord Jesus is willing, I hope to send Timothy to you soon for a visit. Then he can cheer me up by telling me how you are getting along. I have no one else like Timothy who genuinely cares about your welfare. All the others care only for themselves and not for what matters to Jesus Christ. But you know how Timothy has proved himself, like a son with his father. He served with me in preaching the good news. I hope to send him to you as soon as I find out what is going to happen to me here. And I have confidence from the Lord that I myself will come to see you soon. Paul commands Epaphroditus. Meanwhile, I thought I should send Epaphroditus back to you. He is a true brother, co-worker, and fellow soldier, and he was your messenger to help me in my need. I am sending him because he has been longing to see you, and he was very distressed that you heard he was ill. And he certainly was ill. In fact, he almost died, but God had mercy on him, and also on me, so that I would not have one sorrow after another. So I am all more anxious to send him back to you, for I know you will be glad to see him, and I will not be so worried about you. Welcome him in the Lord's love, and with great joy, and give him the honor that people like him deserve, for he risked his life for the work of Christ, and he was at the point of death while doing for me what you couldn't do from far away. May God add a blessing to the reading of his word. So there's this one section in here that I want to read before I get into some of what I got out of this. And it's this reframing Jesus part. Reframing Jesus. Philippians 2:17 and 18, which reads, "But I will rejoice even if I lose my life, pouring it out like a liquid offering to God. Just like your faithful service is an offering to God. I want all of you to share that joy. Yes, you should rejoice, and I will share your joy." It's encouraging the trust and encouraging the trust joy in life. In a full of itself culture, we're encouraged to go big or go home. We're egged on by YOLO, you only live once, and just do it. Happiness, we're told, is locked up in financial success, a party hard lifestyle, and a take no prisoner approach to life experiences. But are these pleasures really enough to satisfy the deep places in our hearts? Paul writes this letter to the church in Philippi from prison, not a place where happiness likes to hang out. While Paul doesn't write about happiness, he does write about joy through this short book. He explains that joy isn't something that we can capture using the strategies of the world, not the strategies that the world says will work for us. We can't find joy by hiding behind a bottle at a party or with a 6-figure income. We can't buy joy. And we can't manufacture it. A frustrating reality for hungry souls. Instead, we find true joy in an unsuspecting place, the place of obedience. When we allow the love of Jesus to capture and calm us, we're invited into something far bigger than ourselves. Unexpectedly, we find joy in obedience to the one who loves us enough to pursue us. Yeah, that made me think, like, in games, right? board games, sports, video games, there are ways to break the rules. Sometimes they seem more fun. I'm going to use Monopoly as an example here. Like free parking. It's like, yeah, you get that momentary endorphin rush when you stop at free parking and you get all that money. That's not actually in the rules. And in a lot of ways, that just extends the game and makes the game long-term worse for everybody. And when we go through this life just chasing after these momentary highs, these more momentary endorphin rushes, we're robbing not only ourselves, but those that we're in life with of joy. If we're just seeking those momentary rushes, it's easy to break the rules. But there's something profound that happens when we end up actually working in obedience. It might not have as many like, wow moments, but you're long-term happier. Those around you are happier. Have you ever had an experience where just everyone was like, man, that was awesome. We had such a good time. And like everybody had a good time. There wasn't one person that was like, yeah, well, you were all torturing me and I didn't have a good time. You were all picking on me. I didn't have a good time. Or yeah, it was good except for that shopkeep that we really screwed over. When we're doing things in obedience, we're having fun. We're having joy that not only goes with whom we're doing life with, but whom we're doing life with that's around us, that's caught in our orbit. They also get sucked in and they get a taste of that joy. Working for YFC, there has been plenty of time when, we're having an absolute awesome time. And it's like, this doesn't make any sense. This is so silly, but we invite people in. When I got saved, I was inviting people in, people that I didn't know. And over 74 of us had an absolutely amazing time at the concert. And it was this skank circle, which is a type of dance. And it was just inviting people in. And people that were around us saw how much fun we were having, and then they came in. Obedience to God doesn't mean that we don't have those moments, but they're richer because we share them with a deeper community and with a deeper meaning and a deeper purpose. That's what that made me think of. There's a couple other things in here that I do want to get to as well. So in this verse, have that attitude of Christ. Don't be selfish. Don't be selfish. Don't try to impress others. Be humble. Think of others as better than yourselves. Don't look out only for your own interests, but take an interest in others as well. And that kind of folds into what we're talking about, because if you're only interested in your own thing, going to video games, yeah, you can hack the game, break the rules, and be invincible, and then and team kill and all this other sort of jazz, but then it's only you having fun and the whole team doesn't. And that's why people seek, people to play games with so that they can share it with somebody. And if you're thinking only of yourself, you're going to rob not only yourself from that deeper appreciation, but others as well. Here's the big thing, though. Talking specifically about Christ and what we can learn. He did not think of equality with God as something to cling to. Wow. We suck at that now. Think about how many people were like, do you know who my father is? Do you know what my mother does? Do you know what family I belong to? Or how dare you do this? I am of a whatever. And we hold these people how dare that person get robbed? They were a priest, or they were a pastor, or they were, whatever. And we hold these people to these higher standards. And sometimes when we're in those positions, we reinforce those mindsets. And yet we have Jesus who says, that's not something to cling to. The closeness, the equality with God was not something that he chose to cling to. Instead, he gave up his divine privileges. And he took the position of a humble slave. He humbled himself in obedience to God. This was not a great time because he died a criminal's death on the cross for us so that we can get reconciled to him. And his name is lifted up above all names. And eventually, every tongue will declare that Jesus Christ is Lord in heaven and on earth and under the earth. So even in hell, they're going to acknowledge his authority. Even in hell, they're going to acknowledge that Jesus Christ is Lord. It's crazy. And then the last part here, which is a little bit of a humble one, but it deals with loss. In verse 16, I will be proud that I did not run the race in vain, and that my work was not useless. 17, and I will rejoice even if I lose my life. Yesterday we talked about living your life for God. That is a living sacrifice, and sometimes it's just make it through the day, and that's what needs to happen. That's what worship is, and it's better for the world that you're still here. It's better for the world that you're still here living your life. One more time, it is better for the world that you're still here living your life. But as Christians, we have this hope for this life in the next, that when this physical, zit-ridden body, buck-toothed body, overweight body returns to the earth in dust, that there's something in me, my pure essence, my soul, gets to be reunited with Christ because of what he did on the cross. I get a new body, purged of sin, as I get to worship and fellowship and be with God. So, when I run the race, the struggle has a deeper purpose. The days when I don't want to get out of bed have a deep, greater purpose. Because I'm running the race for God. I know where that finish line is. It's on heaven's door, and I'm going to run that race every day that I can. And it's not going to be in vain. Even on those days when I just am living my life. Because I'm living it for God. And I invite you to join me as I run this race of life with God. I'm going to transition into prayer now. And then we'll end for today. AJC, awesome Jesus Christ, thank you. I pray that you can give us the strength to run the race, because the world is better for having us in it, because you have created us as your image bearer. As we learn and grow and be molded by you, guide and direct us. Let us offer the hope and reconciliation of you to those around us. May we not think of ourselves above others, but humbly think of others above ourselves. To love others as you love them. You are the example, and your example in your word, in this word, by people that saw you firsthand. is our example on how to do that. I thank you that we have a manuscript that was written so close to your life that people were still alive that walked with you, that could dispute it. Lord, you are awesome. I thank you that the truth reigns free and that you are truth. You are love. And when we feel lacking in truth and in love by people that we have entrusted with truth and with love and with guidance, may we put you back to the center of that pedestal as we are betrayed by ones that we love and look up to and have been taught by. May we remember that you did not take the closeness on being on equal footing with God as something to cling to, but instead you humbled yourself to live among us swine, to serve us, to love us, to show us a better way. Lord, there are people that are tuning in that need your strength to get through today and need to believe that the world is a better place for having them in it. Help them believe that and grasp that. Lord, there are others who have lost someone. They're grieving and mourning. It's a very common occurrence as we're trapped in our homes and not even really able to mourn together like we normally would. But may we find reasons to rejoice because of the life with you that is promised to us in your word when we follow you. Lord, when we don't know where to turn and when we're feeling overworked, overwhelmed, like everything's too much, I thank you for calling us to rest. That resting in you is a form of worship. It's a form of running the race to rest in you. May we tune out the lives of the world that say, if we just do more, if we just push through, if we just. But remember that you called us to rest and to rest in you. May we give you all of our anger, all of our frustrations. Find ways of sharing our joy with you and with others. May we find ways of loving others as you love them. Continually guide, direct us, and be with us, Lord. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you very much. Hi, Stuart. Don't know if you're still here. But that was Philippians 2 with a little bit of prayer and what I got out of it. Tomorrow we'll be continuing with chapter 3. Awesome. Thank you very much. Have a great day. God bless.